Hello guys, good morning. This is Raju Shishom and welcome to another session, a small session on the series mindset. So today we're going to be talking about a very critical aspect of behavioral biases that I have seen so many retail investors do around me, and I have also been a victim to this like so many times in my life, which is like the avoidance of taking a hit or a loss in the portfolio. So I'll give you a simple example. So say for example, a person buys a stock when the price was at 100 rupees one stock. Say the person has taken only one share of that company for the sake of simplicity. So he has invested 100 rupees. Now, after he made his investment, so the first thing is, while he made his investment, let's say everything was fine and dandy with the company. The company was doing good, it was growing, and of course, like when you buy a stock, your only ambition is to grow with the company and to make more money. So of course, the intention is, of course, like I'll sell at a price way more than 100, right? So that was the intention when he bought the stock. So there's no mistake on that day. He was absolutely fine when he bought the stock at 100. Now, say unfortunately, a week later or a month later, or even a quarter later, or even a year later. So the time period doesn't matter. Okay. Any time in the future, the company there is a problem. Now, what kind of problems can come into the company? Say in the next quarterly results, the company can, the company can degrow in profits, sales can come down, right? Or let's say, for example, a competition has come in and it's taking market share away from it. Or there are some internal problems, like for example, the CEO resigned without any reason, or there can be a corporate governance issue, right? Where you can see like there are some board chairmen who are like leaving the company, right? All these reasons are poor for the perspective of an investor. So an investor isn't going to make money when these kind of things surface from a company. Now you might tell me like, I bought the stock at 100, right? And I estimated that things are only going to be good in future. But future में ये सारे events हो सकता है. First is learn to take it in your stride, that these kind of things are normal, because A, you don't know what the future lies for anything, and B, you're also not running that company. You're just an investor. So when these news comes, what happens is immediately the stock falls normally, correct? So let's say 3 months down the line, or let's say 4 months down the line, such kind of a news has come up. Let's say earnings has crashed. Let's say the profit after tax has gone down by 50%, or let's say the CEO has resigned. Some other kind of nasty things have happened. The stock has fallen from, let's say, 100 to 80. Now, this is the problem with retail investors. They don't look at the problem and think, okay, now मेरे घर में आग लग चुका है. There is fire in my house. I need to run away with whatever capital I have left. So logic will say that you run away with that 80 bucks, because कल वो भी नहीं टिकेगा अगर आप वहां पे अटके रहे. But most retail investors stick with that stock. Why? Because they look at that stock ka pattern and they look at their portfolio and they see a 20% loss. So the first thing that a retail investor thinks is, I am not selling at a loss. So he keeps on holding that stock, and then the stock falls from 80 to 70, and then he thinks, okay, I'll sell at 80. Then the stock comes from 70 to 50, and then he thinks, okay, I'll sell it at 60. Got it? So that means what? That means a retail investor slowly is getting out of the game. So what is the learning here from this particular session? That if there is a problem in the company, you get out. If there is a fire in your house, you get out. You don't think about your furniture. That's why when there is a fire, the corporates in your office always tell you to use the stairs and not use the escalator or the lift. So what I'm trying to tell you here is this. There will be many a times when your investment journey will be fraught with these kind of incidents. See, it wasn't a mistake to buy the stock at 100, but it will be a great mistake to not sell it at 80 even when things have gone bad for the company. That's the mistake. And then you keep holding on to it. There is another kind of mistake that people do. People average down. And that is in finance, what we have learned is what is called as catching the falling knife. So if a stock goes down because of volatility, nothing is wrong. You don't have to sell that stock. Then you can even think of adding more. If you're absolutely confident, okay, the last quarterly numbers were great, the management commentary is bullish, there's a lot of tailwinds behind my industry, and let's say because of because of some Russia-Ukraine crisis or some other thing, the stock has fallen 5, 7, 10%. You can add more. But say you know what the problem is in the company. So first is whenever a stock goes down like by 15, 20%, now, first what I do is I go check BSE and I see, okay, if it has fallen 15, 20%, is there something wrong fundamentally? If I don't find anything wrong fundamentally, I might end up buying more of that stock. But say, for example, I find something wrong fundamentally, then on that day, I don't look at the profit and loss statement on that stock. That's a huge mistake, because then whatever capital you have left, you are basically leaving that open to even more destruction. It's like you are staying put in that house when it is already on fire, thinking the fire will turn out. I mean, the fire will go away and things will again be normal. How do you know that, right? So what is the whole concept of active investing is, the concept of active investing involves a good concept of selling. You need to be a good seller to become a good active investor. That is, if तुम्हारा 170 भी हो जाता है, that's fine. Take that 70 out, because by that time you would have already figured out some other good opportunities in the market as well. You put that 70 in one of those stocks, right? And then you grow that 70 to 700. So the point is this, the mistake that people think is like, if one stock has given me an X percentage loss, only that stock will only get me back to cost price. Don't think that way. Your money has gone down by 20%, right? So you have to get the money back up to cost, right? It doesn't mean that it will be the same company doing it for you. This is a mistake that I see in most retail investors. This is a mistake that I've seen even like with veteran investors as well, that they keep on holding it to one stock. And of course, there is a fine line between conviction and overconfidence as well. So all I'm trying to say is, if you start with a low capital, okay, which most of us are, like we have a low capital base, we can't get into this mindset of like buying one stock and justifying it to the world, even though things are fundamentally going south. So please keep in mind, because there will always be other opportunities which are making you money, which is like making money in a way, okay, like there will never be a situation that your business isn't doing good and no other business in the world is doing good. There will be some other businesses which will be performing better when your business is doing bad. So you can shift. It's absolutely fine, because selling is a critical aspect in active investing. But then when you are a passive investor with that whole mindset, okay, I will never sell, that gets you into this kind of troubles. So I hope I can make this clear. All I'm trying to say is, if your company falls into trouble, don't look at the cost price, don't look at your profits, don't look at anything. You have to run from that stock. If you do not know how to run from that stock, you might not even have that capital going forward in the future, and you become miserable. And let me tell you one thing, once you sell a stock now, even if you take a loss, you will get the sense of relief. So I always get that it's fine to make a mistake. Mistake means like buying the stock. Let's say you bought Yes Bank in 2015. It wasn't the mistake. The mistake is to hold Yes Bank right from the time Rana Kapoor went to prison till today. It's because of the fact that you have bought something and now you're just satisfying your ego. So not selling something is telling your ego that I cannot make a mistake. So it's a dynamic world, things change. And all I'm trying to say is you need to act accordingly. So, and on the contrary, so let's say if a company that you bought was doing good and in the subsequent quarters, they did even better. So you buy stock on the way up. Got it? And here you need to learn the skill of selling a stock in red and buying a stock in green. It's absolutely the opposite of what retail investors do. So most of them, what they do is they sell stocks in green and they keep those stocks in red in their portfolio, thinking it will come back to their cost. But they don't know what's happening in the underlying fundamentals of the company. So that 80 can even become 8. That's exactly what happened with DHFL and Yes Bank and ILFS and all the other stocks. So on that note, selling is critical. Be flexible, and please do not look at the profit and loss statement, because those are past data. You need to be in present and you need to look ahead. So even if a company has made you 5 times your capital, let's say your profit is 500%, and then it lands into trouble, you need to sell the company there and then. You can't think, okay, it has made me 5x, so I've fallen in love with it. So there is no concept of looking back here, right? There is also no concept of looking ahead. There is always the concept of staying in the present and making the correct choices, right? So a great investment decision today can be a very poor decision 3 months down the line, because we don't know. The world is too complex to predict, right? So your egos shouldn't go ahead of everything else. You should be a kind of a person who should flow with the world, and take opportunities as they come, rather than thinking like, okay, I have taken this call. Because see, if you have that mentality of like not changing, and if you're like very, very rigid, the problem comes in the fact like the world will keep on hitting you with bad news and with losses in your portfolio. It will be you who will suffer. So please try to change this mindset. Be open, be flexible, take losses. That's fine. It's like a cricketer scoring a couple of ducks. It doesn't mean his career is over. And you are not supposed to make a multi-bagger with every stock you buy. You're going to make mistakes, but with every mistake, there is learning. And I'll tell you, with those losses, there is more learning than probably any learning in an MBA college. Okay. So on that note, thank you for listening. Until next time, goodbye.